The way this last episode came to be is deeper and more abstract than I anticipated. And I'm gonna say a part of me was a little disappointed, and a part of me was just completely overwhelmed. And we're gonna get into it. Hi my loves, Jarae, Milay, the girl from around the way, where we have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I am coming to you all with HBO's I May Destroy You, okay, season finale. Alright? The episode pretty much just kicks off exactly where the last episode kicked off, in which was, do you like the sex? And she's in front of Ego Death, and she realizes the guy who was the guy who raped her, and she is stuck. She's just pretty much just like it cripples her pretty much. And if you've been watching this season, you know Arabella is kind of like with it and kind of spunky, and she can hold her own. She is like just traumatized. We finally get to see what actually happened, because a lot of it were just missing pieces and little hunches. We always saw the bathroom stall scene when she was actually being assaulted. So in this episode, we saw the string of events that led to her rape, which was so raw and like brutal. That's the only way that I can explain it. And like I said, Arabella is like visibly shaken. So she starts off and she has a plan. She's like, you know, we have a plan, and you know, the alliance is spicy, Lord. Oh my god, like my British accent is getting up there. In order to facilitate this plan, she employs the help of her girl Theo. So it's like hook, line, and you know, Theo's gonna sink him. So together they, you know, come up and facilitate this plan where Theo is pretty much watching the guy, and he preys on Arabella the same way probably from the first night. And he notices her, and he gets her a drink, and he tries to, you know, do the same thing. And Theo is watching from the side and is watching which pocket he puts the drugs in. She comes up to the side of him and kind of steals the drugs from him, and you know, puts it in a syringe. So Arabella is just pretending to be spiked all over again, and we're just going through the whole scene. So he's essentially about to recommit this crime. What I thought was really interesting is he has no recollection of her. And typically, like, you would think that he can maybe remember or something. He's completely oblivious that this is the same chick that I already assaulted, you know, sometime last year, because I'm imagining it being like a year later that they come face to face. So Arabella is pretending to be roofied, and she goes into the stall with the guy, or the guy pretty much forces her into the stall, and she pops up and she's like, hi David. Like, it was just so cool how she did it. She popped up. I just love that scene. It was like dope as fuck. And she was like, yeah, you tried to slip me a drink. You tried to slip something in my drink or whatever. Theo hits him with the syringe underneath of the stall and gets him back or whatever. He storms out or whatever. But before I get into all of that, let me circle back a little bit. Before the assault, or the potential assault, was going to begin, he saved her underwears. And if you're like me, you watch a whole bunch of true crime and a whole bunch of stuff. Like, when niggas is doing stuff like saving your underwear as a souvenir, like, you are a serial rapist. You know what I mean? Like, you are the unsub on Criminal Minds that we all see and know. Like, I was like, ooh, he is really like a perp. He's really predatory. Anyway, so Theo actually gets him in a syringe. She runs out. The black bull, his friend Tariq or whatever, runs off like, dude, what's wrong with you? He's like walking away, like, you know, he's pretty much caught, but he's also roofie too. So they come to the realization like, oh, I have to get my knickers slash underwear slash panties from him, because if he passes out, that's obviously evidence that we were together, yada yada yada. It can link me to him. So they're outside and they're pretty much following him. They're not chasing him, but casing him. Like, so he's walking a little bit ahead of them, and they're like, are you sure you did this? Are you sure you did that? And lo and behold, they're like, yeah, we know that we got him, because we're walking super close and he's not even noticing us. He turns around and he looks. He's like, you passes out, and Theo, who I feel like I was just not expecting her. She was just as cool as a cucumber, okay? My girl Theo was like with all of the shits. She wanted all the smoke. She was with all of the shits. And I was quite frankly here for it. She grabs the underwear and is choking him with it. And is like, you know, straining him. He's all tore up from the drugs and stuff like that. And oh, I'm sorry, I'm so wrong, y'all, because this episode is crazy. She wanted to see his peen or whatever because she's like, he saw my thing, I want to see his thing, which, you know, that may be a valid train of thought, like when something traumatic happens and he wakes up and Theo, she starts choking him and she's with everything, and Arabella just starts punching him, wow. And then, like, you know, they just, everybody is just kind of looking kind of crazy, right? And she punches him again, wow, 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 just going off on his face. He's bleeding everywhere. Terry's looking like, guys, come on, like, let's go. Terry was kind of like really devastated. Theo looked like she was thoroughly enjoying it. Arabella looked like, I can't believe I'm doing this shit, but she was so pumped up on the adrenaline. And like, they're like, we need to take him somewhere. He passes out. So she's like, Arabella's like, I know exactly where to put him. And they go to a scene where she is like on the bus with the guy. He's bloody. He looks damn near half dead. Okay, we get at Bernie's vibes. And it's a woman, it's a black woman who says, oh, you know, she's like kind of smiles and gives him, you know, give her a quick little smile, like maybe she's kind of putting on for her man. He got into a fight. And she says something that's very important. The statement she made was, boys will be boys. And we all know that that is the rhetoric that is held within several societies, which is why these niggas is running around doing shit they have no business doing. Because it's widely accepted to be like, oh, boys will be boys, when that's not the case. We need to be teaching our boys and teaching our men about the seriousness of consent, about the seriousness of respecting women's bodies and everything like that. But I think that that was a really good way to sneak that line in, because that people had that notion like boys will be boys. And like, lo and behold, lady, this is the dude who raped me. I wonder if she would have still had that same sentiment had she known the whole story. So they get to the Arabella's house, and the place that she puts him is underneath her bed, which is so symbolic to all of the dark things that she wanted to kind of put away, put out of her mind, but not fully get rid of, because they're still underneath. She knows exactly where they are. Maybe even in her subconscious, and she puts him underneath the bed. And when she puts him underneath the bed, I'm like, sis, that's a lot of blood. You know what I mean? He's pretty much dead, okay? Once she puts him underneath the bed, takes a sticky note off of her storyline that was, you know, partially developed by her boy Zane. And, you know, she goes outside and she's sitting in the garden with Ben. And the cycle starts completely over. And I'm like, bruh, I'm stuck. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So it's like a loop. So my interpretation of that is she is creating different outcomes of what that interaction would be like. Okay, so that was the first scenario, which was very believable, very much like, okay, this is what's happening. The second go round, same scenario. She's in front of Ego Death. She notices him. She's visibly shaken. She has no plan. And Terry's like, girl, well, we've been here every weekend. I love the way they say weekend. That's random, but every weekend. And you don't have a plan? She's like, I thought you were coming up with something. She's like, girl, no. Like, I'm fixated on the past. You know I'm deranged. Like, I thought that line cracked me up. So anyway, Terry is the one with the plan, and Terry comes up and she pretty much just says, well, I wasn't here before, but I'm here this time, and this is how I want to do it. And same thing, you know, the alliance is spicy, blood. And long story short, she's like, my plan is going to require you to take a whole bunch of coke. I'm like, here we go, heavy drug use. Y'all know how I feel about that. So she's like doing bump after bump, or line after line, or whatever it's called. And she's like, oh, she's like, can I get another bump, mate? Can I get another bump, mate? And long story short, she actually does get roofied this time. Instead of her not drinking it like she did in the first version of it, she's actually drinking it. But I guess because of the coke and the roofie drug, it didn't really kind of do what it did to her before. So she was in her state of mind. Same scenario. Yeah, my name is Patrick, but his real name is David. And she takes him into the they go into the bathroom, and she's falling all over. She's pretending to be roofie. Terry is dancing in front of the raper's homeboy or whatever who was in on it. She's dancing with him, keeping him distracted and everything like this. And they go into the bathroom. This time, Terry was calling the police to catch him in the act, which is like, okay, that's plausible. That could happen. And when it does, like, he flips his shit and he's like, you filthy whore, you're worthless, girl. Like, every time that I record this video, I've been having so many distractions. Like, I know that beep is going to, like, catch up. I can't. My ears ringing, the beep is going, but I'm just keeping eating. She's like, yeah, David, you're supposed to be drugging me. And he's like, well, do you want to cry? Do you want me to hurt you? You filthy whore, you want this or whatever. You're worthless. And he's like, you're worthless, David. And it's, y'all, you know, David is saying all of these mean and hurtful things that, you know, was once directed towards Arabella, but now he's saying it directly to her. And I think the purpose of that was just to illustrate how hurt people. And most people who are perpetrators of sexual assault have themselves been victims of sexual assault. And what happens is, instead of the police officers catching him in the act, Arabella invites him over to her home, and they're in the room and they're talking, and he's like, yeah, I've been to prison, you know, just strictly for rape, you know, prison rape, rape by deception, spousal rape, just all types of rape. And, you know, he talks about how he's been going to therapy and everything like that. I think she wanted to humanize people who are sexual predators. And I could be wrong. I want to know what y'all think in the comment section, because I try not to watch anybody else's opinion about it and just go off of my own mind. But I love, you know, those of you who are subscribed to the channel and y'all have like major insight on this. So I think that was the purpose of that. And the cops end up coming to her home instead of the bathroom, and pretty much just, you know, says, well, you know, you gotta, you know, come with us or whatever. She's like, Arabella, don't leave me, or whatever the case may be. And he walks away, you know what I mean, with the police obviously going to jail. And then she's switching her story again, boom, in the Garden of Ben. So in her, I think it's maybe she's playing out every scenario in her mind, or maybe it was to encompass like how people have different experiences, you know what I mean, like how things just happen, like it's not one size fits all. And so boom, the next scenario, it's very similar. She's outside of Ego Death. In the next scenario, they're in the bathroom and Arabella doesn't say anything. It's like they don't even have any dialogue about it. Terry outright just talks about her time in Italy, and kind of come to the realization, or at least shares with Arabella, that she felt like her escapade in Italy was actually in fact rape. They kind of just talk about, you know, just very like cavalier, like, I think that's what happened or whatever. I think I want to try to join you and Theo's group because it'd be nice to have somebody to talk about it. And she's like, yeah, I think Theo would like that. And she's like, really, dude, I don't really even like Theo like that. This one seemed kind of maybe more realistic up until they go out and to leave the restroom, and they're going inside of the club when nobody's there. And the boy is just sitting in the same spot for Terry. The guy, the rapist, is sitting at the bar for Arabella, and she walks up to him, and she is literally like telling him in his ear, explaining to him what she wants to do to him. So it was kind of like a role reversal. Instead of Terry dancing in front of the guy and dancing on him, he was actually in fact dancing on her, which led to Arabella getting her way in the bathroom and then in the bedroom. And I think that it was more or less like, you know, giving me very much Beyonce If I Were a Boy role reversal. That was the whole purpose of that. And I failed to mention this too. Every time that Arabella meets up with Ben in the garden, she invites him to come, and he's like, nah, I'm okay. But one time she invited him, and Ben was on his phone, and he was looking up how sad he was. So, and Ben has been like the voice of reason. He's been like a straight shooter. He's been like the one that kind of just the generally nice guy. Remember, Kwame was mentioning him in the last episode, which I still recorded my response and reactions that, although I didn't upload it on time, I'm still going to upload it. So make sure you check that out as well, because I'm gonna be uploading it regardless. After pretty much Arabella has her way with him in the bedroom, she's like, well, he's like, do you want me to leave? And he's like, no, I won't leave unless you want me to. And she's like, go. And like, just like that, he gets up. But as he's walking out the door, the bloody him gets up from underneath the bed, and the bloody one is like carrying her stuff from like the abortion or whatever that was left underneath the bed, like just walking that baggage like all the way out. And I think it was a symbolic way to kind of talk about just letting the shit all go, how letting all of the scenarios that we play out in our mind, letting all of the baggage, all of the hypotheticals and whatever, just letting it all go and just being. And the episode, or I should say the season, pretty much just ends with Arabella in the garden. Before she did that, she rearranged her storyline, and she went into the garden with Ben. And Ben, she's like, so Ben's like, you know, what's on the, you know, dinner entree for you tonight or whatever, that bar? And she's like, nah. And that was the first time she had actually said that. I'm actually going to stay here. And he's like, oh, well, do you want a curse? I guess that's, I don't know what a curse is. If you know what it is, leave it in the comment section. And she's like, yeah, like, let's do it. And the episode, when their season really pretty much ends with everybody in the cast is chilling watching Terry's commercial, which was great. I guess it was like a little, looked like a major commercial, a major success. And they're all there kind of like celebrating her. And to wrap things up, Arabella, she dedicated her book to Terry, and she gave it to her. She gives it to her in, you know, in a package form, and she dedicated, you know, her in a nice little whatever. My death is your death, my birth is your birth, to my best friend Terry. And she's like, girl, I thought she was going to dedicate this to that Italian dude, which was funny. And then, you know, it really just ends with her in a bookstore, reading her self-published book. Okay, because you know she's no longer with Henny House, her self-published book, and she's reading the foreword. And before she says anything, she kind of like takes in a deep breath, and in the moment you see like Arabella in the pink wig. Y'all know how that purple pink wig terrorizing, and I think that was just to illustrate the duality of people and the different paths that maybe we can take, or the choices that we make. We choose to accept what we want to, you know what I mean, and we can turn a negative into a positive. We can accept the outcomes or change them if we want to. Very, very powerful stuff. I can go real crazy. I feel like I'm about to go real crazy, but I'm not going to do that because this video is probably already long. Make sure you check out my last video about this. It's going to help connect the dots a little bit. Although I didn't post it on time, I'm still going to post it because I feel like I have to complete it. I'm kind of like that personality, like it won't feel done to me unless I do it. I can't wait to hear some of you guys' thoughts. I think that she was just trying to illustrate how people have dualities and different aspects and different perspectives, and you create your story. That's what's most important. You create the story that you want. It doesn't matter what happens to you, how fucked up it is, how traumatic or whatever the case, you have the ability to control your narrative at some point. Okay, because certain things in life are just going to happen to us. We know that, you know what I mean? That we're not without fault. Some things we bring into our lives, okay? But at that moment of realization, you have control to write and create your story. And what a beautiful way to end the season. I know a lot of people are asking her, Michaela, what are you going to do? I don't think she's going to bring back I May Destroy You. I think this is a good body of work. I think she should leave it where it is. Now, she does need to give us a book, though. The book needs to come. But as far as I May Destroy You Season 2, I don't really see it happening. Not that I don't want it to, but I just don't see how. This is a complete, full, thick, juicy body of work. And you know how some people don't want to mess with it? I think it should be messed with. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I'm very, very curious to know what y'all think. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share it if you care. Make sure you subscribe and let YouTube know it's real. And as always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. You might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let YouTube know it's real, okay? Alright, for real, I'm leaving this time, but for real, don't forget to hit subscribe, okay? Okay, alright, you got it. Alright, you got it. You got it? Okay, alright. Wookie, did you like it? I May Destroy You? It's over with, Wookie. We finished it.